A 125 million year old fossil was recently described as pregnant. A tiny freshwater bivalve. Basically, a very ancient relative of mussels and clams. Not exactly the animal you'd expect to be Mother of the Year, but inside this shell, researchers found something incredible. Preserved embryos and larvae still held inside the animal's gills after 125 million years. I know, please don't come for me. Shellfish don't technically get pregnant the way that mammals do. But what scientists found is evidence of maternal care. This ancient animal had been brooding its young inside its own body, protecting them inside specialized parts of its gills. And that matters because it pushes a reproductive strategy deep into the age of dinosaurs. The fossil comes from the Isle of Wight off the southern coast of England, which is a place already famous for Cretaceous. This island has produced dinosaurs like iguanodon, along with ancient plants, crocodile relatives, turtles, fish, and all kinds of prehistoric life. But this discovery isn't impressive because the animal was huge. It's impressive because it's small, delicate, and almost impossible to preserve. Hard shells fossilize fairly often. A shell is already basically a little mineral house. It has decent odds, but soft tissue is different. Soft tissue usually disappears. It decays, gets eaten, breaks apart, or gets flattened into geological nothing. So when researchers find not just a shell, but soft internal structures inside that shell, it's kind of a big deal. To understand why this fossil matters, let's talk about how freshwater mussels reproduce. A male mussel releases sperm into the water. A female takes it in while filtering water, and the eggs are fertilized inside of the female. Those eggs then develop in special brooding areas inside her gills. Those larvae are called glochidia, and once these larvae mature, they don't simply just swim away and start a new mussel life. Instead, they attach themselves to a fish. They latch onto the gills, fins, or sometimes the skin of a suitable host fish. Then, they stay there for a while, undergo another stage of development, and eventually drop off as juvenile mussels. So the mussel's early life cycle is basically be born, become a temporary fish passenger, fall off, and hope the neighborhood's nice. Anyway, this ancient fossil suggests that while dinosaurs were walking around nearby, these freshwater bivalves were already brooding their young inside their gills and using a surprisingly advanced system of care and dispersal. This is where the word maternal care becomes important. When we hear the word maternal care, we usually picture something warm-blooded, a bird sitting on eggs. A mammal nursing her young, a mom snuggling her baby, something with eyes, preferably a face. A clam doesn't exactly scream nurturing mother, mostly because it doesn't scream at all. But maternal care doesn't have to look cute. In biology, it can simply mean that a parent is investing energy into supporting or protecting their offspring. And in this fossil, the young weren't just scattered into the water immediately. They were held inside the adult's gills, in a protected space, and that is care. Evolutionary care, the kind where survival depends on giving the next generation a slightly better chance. Unfortunately, millennials and Gen Z don't know what that feels like. Freshwater environments are challenging places for shell-building animals. Compared to the ocean, freshwater can have less available calcium, which matters if your babies need to build shells. The researchers found tiny mineral deposits inside the fossil gills that may have acted like calcium stores, helping the developing larvae form their earliest shells. And that detail is so sweet, because it suggests the mother wasn't just holding the young, she was helping supply the raw material they needed to build themselves. The fossil also helps explain a mystery called molluscite, a dark material first described by the British paleontologist Gideon Mantle. For a long time, this material was puzzling, but the new research suggests that at least some of it may be fossilized soft tissue and reproductive structures preserved by minerals. So this discovery did two things at once. It showed us ancient reproduction, and it also helped reinterpret something that scientists have been looking at for almost 2 centuries. And that's why this pregnant shellfish is more than a clickbait headline. It's a reminder that deep time was not just giant reptiles and dramatic skeletons. It was also small animals, solving small problems in very clever ways. A 125-million-year-old pregnant fossil was found, and it turns out that the most surprising part wasn't that it had babies inside of it. It was that something so small, so easy to overlook, was already doing something so complex, which is a very nice reminder that life doesn't need to be big to be impressive. Sometimes it just needs to be preserved long enough until someone cuts it open and realizes, oh, this shell was a nursery. Liked what your weird brain just learned? Hit subscribe. Come on, don't be shellfish.